Yeah, like I'm saying, I am imagining we're probably not going to find out anything more about Lopee until, like, a while. Because if I had to make a guess, if I was writing the script, which I'm obviously not, but if I was, I would do something like we did with Heartburn, where it's like, it's not a official file. Because, like, you can die to Lopee, but Sebastian says he can't give you his file. Which is, like, the main thing. But what I would assume is that maybe there's an event somewhere down the road, who knows, where it's like it's like some secret event that you have to find like a bunch of secret passcodes for or something like that, something of that level. And then it's like some kind of public, or not public, some kind of like private like secret expedition, shall we say. And it will be like, you got it's like a bunch of secret codes for lack of a better term. And what you do is you, like, eventually people uncover it. I'd probably not be active in that process. I'd probably just glance over the pressure wiki, see if they found anything new, and then go do something else. But, like, you know what I mean. You unlock the secret little area or whatever. You unlock, like, the secret expedition, and then you go do it, and then it's like maybe it's other members of Lope's family if he ever had one, and it's something like that. And then, like, at the end of it, you find a secret classified file or whatever, and that secret file is everything about Lopee. It'd probably not be an Urban Shade official document. It'd probably have like some weird classification on it, because the thing is, I don't really, I mean, I guess maybe they could, but, like, I don't really know why Lopee would be connected to Urban Shade Hadal Division specifically. Because, like, because they've done it with some of the other ones, with, like, the jet suit and the firewall and stuff like Lady Death and the Guardian Angel of the Bandlands, where they have a whole separate subdivision purely for that one area. Like, they have a whole, like, Nost subdivision beneath the Hadal Blacksite division that is completely, entirely meant for the, nostalgia stuff, I guess, is what they call it. I think that's why it's got the Nost subdivision, like, moniker or what have you. But, like, I don't think we're ever going to... I feel like if there was a Lopee file, it'd be, one, a separate, like, subdivision or whatever, if it's even a subdivision at all. Because it's like, I mean, sure, Lopee could probably classify a lot of it, but it'd probably be something like that if I had to make a guess. But I don't think we're ever going to get there anytime soon, so, meh. But it's fun to think about that kind of stuff, huh, Carlos? Like, what would happen if we got a file on that, on Mr. Mystery Man? Mr. Mysterious Benefactor. Sebastian doesn't seem to be aware of Lope's timeline manipulation abilities to the fullest extent either. He seems somewhat aware of it, but not really. But it seems Sebastian is kind of aware of it, but not fully. Because in the ending where you kill Painter, Sebastian says, I get to enjoy this over and over and over again, and whatever, implying that he knows that Lopee can, timeline warp. Or whatever. Which would make sense, because Lopee is the reason that Sebastian gives us files on the game. Like, Lopee is the one that specifically is like, Sebastian, you can't give him certain files. Like when you die to Lopee, Sebastian's like, okay, he, with green letters, he does not let you do this. Or, like, does not want me to give you this file, or what have you. When you die to Painter, or not when you die to Painter, but, like, when Sebastian kills you in the Painter ending, he says, I get to enjoy this over and over and over again and whatever, and then Lopee kills him. Or, like, timeline warps and whatever. But, if you replay the game, Sebastian does not remember the next round through after you've killed Painter. He doesn't remember.
I mean, maybe...
It seems like Lopee can manipulate time and memories in certain directions.
Actually, I would just bet that Sebastian just figure it out in that end that he gets to, like, Lopee just rewind shit.
Yeah, but he doesn't know that Lopee can. It seems like Lopee can. Well, from what it seems that like Lopee and the Almighty are like the highest echelons of the weird like string pulling stuff that's going on, and then Sebastian is sort of like in the middle with Painter, and then there's characters like the Imaginary Friends who call out the Almighty directly, who are like lower below them with the Anglers and other stuff like that. But my point is that it seems like Sebastian knows that Lopee can manipulate time, but not memories, because he doesn't remember. Like once you die in the Painter ending, Lopee says whatever he says, and then when you reset to play the game again, in like normal mode or whatever, Sebastian does not call out you killing Painter the last round. Obviously that's a gameplay mechanic, but like you get what I mean. I think my point is that it seems like no matter what you do, he's aware that Lopee can timeline warp. He does not seem to be aware of the memory thing. And I think that's important, because I'm not entirely certain. I don't think this is... admittedly, this is kind of dabbling a bit into, like, speculation and not really confirmed. But it seems like Lopee might not be aware that we, the player, are an actual player. Like, he might think that we are just a normal human like everyone else in this group, like all the doctors and stuff that work for Urban Shade. I don't think he might know that we're a player, but I don't think he does. He might be aware of the fourth wall, but from the way he's acted so far, it doesn't seem like he's aware of the fourth wall. Yeah, exactly, that's my point, is I don't think Lopee knows that. I think Lopee knows that we're a death row inmate, and I think he knows that too because he's dead. Lopee canonically died in like the 1960s or whatever. Yeah. Which this game takes place in like 2024 or whatever. This game basically takes place in present day, based on like specifically. Well, actually, wait, hang on. Let me go back. Let me look again. Addendum: following the events of the October 14th, 2025 lockdown. That's yesterday. Which is where they started referring to the new coral creatures. So, following the events of literally as of us talking, yesterday is when like the main gameplay takes place. At least according to this. So probably during this day is, when the Rotten Coral event, Operation Heartburn, happens. What I'm trying to say here is that I don't think Lopee knows of the fourth wall, but I think he knows about every single experiment going on down here at the Black Site, and he's trying to pull the strings. I think his main goal is to destroy Urban Shade. I think that's what it seems like. Because he's working with Sebastian, which is already really weird. Like, why would he be working with Sebastian and not Urban Shade themselves? That's really strange. Yeah, Sebastian caused a mass breach. That's why we, as, like, EXR-P people, we're expendable. So if we die, they don't care. Lopee seems to care, because we seem to be able to continuously keep dying over and over and over to get to the good ending. Yeah, but I don't think that the good ending is actually what's going to be canon anymore. Because I have a hunch, I have a really big hunch, that the good ending is just the good ending. You obviously don't die. But I have a hunch that there's an ending somewhere down the road that they're going to add that's like, you can still get the good ending in the game, but like, here's the canon ending where maybe you work with Sebastian and Painter and all the other monsters, or you sacrifice yourself or whatever. You die, or insert whatever thing here, and you cause the entire Urban Shade system to collapse. Yeah, not just the Black Site itself, not just the Black Site, but the whole entirety of Urban Shade as a whole comes and dies. Technically, I've done that in another timeline, but that was liquidation. That doesn't count. Like, the crystal is what powers the entire Black Site, as well as gives them excess power. I think it's supposed to be Thor's heart as well, so it's Z-2 or whatever. Yeah, we don't have a file on it yet. I don't think we're gonna get a file for a while, but the Ridge started construction in 1962 and finished in 1963. So they carved all that out like in the 60s. And then they like drained it of water, and then it was the cheapest area. It doesn't have the Navi AI system in it because it doesn't need to have it. Because, like, who the fuck goes down to the ridge sequence? Like, nobody.
But I just want to know, right, Fargo? If Lopee, right, he wants to destroy,
That's what I think. We don't really know that yet, but I have a big hunch that's the case.
Theoretically, let's say theoretically, right? He wants to destroy Orange Shade. Why not just go back in time before it was founded?
Because plot reasons, Carlos. Because the game wouldn't exist. I'm sure there's a more logical reason. Maybe what it is. Wait, actually, I just thought about something. So Lopee died in the 60s, which is right around the time the ridge started construction.
Yeah, but
That's odd. Maybe Lopee was a ridge worker and he died in the ridge sequence.
Yeah, but I do want to know, right? Is there like a limit to where his time?
That's what I am thinking. I'm thinking that there's a limit and he can't time warp before he died. Like, that's what I'm assuming. Because he died in the 60s. So I'm assuming what's going on here is that Lope's building us up. Like, all these things that we're getting and stuff like heartburn. He's trying to build everything up so that he can, like, cause a much more massive dent on Urban Shade's bottom line to collapse the entire government.
Because I'm gonna be winning, right? So hear me out. Maybe his time traveling powers aren't all obsolete, right?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. It seems like there's some rule in his powers where he can't time travel to before he existed. That's what I'm gonna assume. Because then he'd like be able to stop himself. Because what happens when he kills himself in the past? How the fuck does he exist in the future? You know, like that's kind of how that works. It's like in the World Between Worlds from the Star Wars Rebels show, where it's like Ezra could pull Ahsoka out. I know you don't know what I'm talking about, but just Ezra could pull Ahsoka out of whatever timeline she was in, but he couldn't pull Kanan out because if Kanan gets pulled out of the timeline, they all die, and then the whole thing doesn't work. It breaks the timeline. I think that's what's going on with Lopee. He can't do that far, so he's manipulating time there, yeah. The good ending. We see Mr. Shade. Like, that's the name of the guy who owns Urban Shade. Mr. Shade. And he's basically he's basically like an elderly corpse on a wheel, on like one of the, handicap chairs or whatever they are. Wheelchairs.
Yeah.
And for some reason, when the guard gives the crystal to Mr. Shade, Navi AI's voice asks for them to, like, turn the chair around and wheel him off or whatever. So I think Mr. Shade is already dead by the time of this game. Because Mrs. Shade dies in 2003 from what I'm looking at this on this file. And Urban Shade can't find her in the Badlands. Or whatever. So she's, like, perma-gone. We don't know what happened to her. I don't think I don't think there's any way that she's Lopee. But her voice was recorded for the Navi AI system, which tells you, what doors to open and whatever.
Yeah, but I don't want to know. So, is the guy literally just half dead, half alive?
Oh, Mr. Shade? I don't know. It doesn't seem like it. My assumption, like, from the little we know of Mr. Shade directly, it seems like he's either just a corpse that's being carted around on Navi's, wheeler pad or whatever. He's just a dead corpse. Or two, maybe he's barely alive and he's just on the very edge of his life term. I don't know. Because you'd think that if that was a thing, right, they would just, like, kill him, use the revive token, and then bring him back to life. I think it's more the Almighty is pulling Lope's strings, like Lopee is pulling other people's strings. It doesn't seem like Lopee is entirely aware of the Almighty pulling his own strings, and I don't think we've seen the Almighty actually. Well, I mean, like, for all we know, the Almighty has nothing to do with Lopee. I just attribute him to Lopee because that's what it seems like. It seems like the Almighty would be the kind of character pulling strings above Lopee. That's what it makes sense. That's what I would assume. But I'm also looking at this file on the Pulse Cannon from the Heartburn event, and it says that the cannon was rejected by the board. Kepler secured funding for it by directly appealing to Mr. Shade to begin construction in secret in 2025 or 2015 and concluded in 2017. So again, Mr. Shade seems to be actively doing stuff, whereas Lopee seems to be more of like some sort of puppet. Mr. Shade probably is also a puppet to something, but it seems more likely that he is unaware that he's a puppet for something else. If Mr. Shade's a puppet at all, it seems like Mr. Shade is unaware of it, given what he's doing and stuff like that. Like, I don't think Mr. Shade has the knowledge enough, or I mean, he probably knows. I don't think he knows about Lopee. I don't think Mr. Shade really knows about Lopee. From what little we know of the two characters and how they're not seem to be connected at all, I don't think either of them know each other. I think Lopee knows about Shade, but I don't think Shade knows about Lopee. And I don't think Shade knows about the Almighty entirely either. Actually, wait, does he? Maybe he does.
Why doesn't Lopee just go all the way back before Mr. Shade became lost?
Because it seems like Mr. Shade was the boss before Lopee died. And that's the trick. That's the trick. Because it doesn't seem like Lopee can go back in time enough to go before his own birth, or before his own death or whatever. So he would never be able to go back far enough to stop Mr. Shade from becoming the boss. And it also seems like the whole program itself is named after Mr. Shade. That's why it's Urban Shade, Mr. Shade.
Yeah.
So it seems like there's no way Lopee can kill Mr. Shade off in a way that matters. And it probably is also that the reason that Lopee hasn't killed Mr. Shade in the past is probably because he knows that either something, maybe he's tried to in the past, in a past timeline, and we don't know this, but what it seems like is Lopee did try to do that in the past, but I don't think that was gonna work, because I think it's the same thing as the stuff in Star Wars, where it was when they tried to kill off Director Krennic and Grand Moff Tarkin and whatever in that other episode of Bad Batch, where it's sure, you can kill all these people, but someone else is just going to get put in their place. Lopee probably did kill Mr. Shade in a similar timeline, but then someone else came up and took his place, so he jumped back and decided we're not going to go that route, because someone else is just going to take over from him. It is theorized that angels do not have such strong capacity for regeneration, and that the constant manifestation is instead divine intervention from the Almighty to keep the subject alive. This is a Urban Shade Nost subdivision file on the Guardian Angel. Calls out the Almighty just that one time. I don't know, is there any other? Oh, there, hang on, there's another one down here. Lower ranked employees of Urban Shade may not understand that progress comes with a cost, and that the exploitation of the Almighty's angel is one of them. The Almighty. Wait a minute! So that means that the Guardian Angel is one of the Almighty's pawns. That's it. I think that's it. The Almighty is the highest, and that's what it is. The Almighty is the highest peg on the pole, but capturing the Guardian Angel probably pissed them off, and now they're puppeting Lopee, puppeting other things down beneath it, trying to collapse Urban Shade, maybe to set this angel free. It seems like the angel was innocent. From what it seems like the angel wasn't trying to kill anybody, and that Mr. Shade... Yeah, you see here. The Guardian posed absolutely no threat. Every act of hostility was an order issued directly from Mr. Shade for his personal interest of exploring and potentially exploiting the Badlands. In the first encounter, the angel attempted to peacefully coax the troop invading forces back to the portal without physical contact. In 2008, the Guardian attempted to communicate with the remaining forces, show them the grave for rivers that it constructed. The Guardian was then struck down over this grave, and it was transported back to Earth. The angel was not hostile, and it doesn't seem like it seems like the Almighty might have known that, and that probably gave the Almighty a grudge against Mr. Shade. So now the Almighty is puppeting Lopee, and Mr. Shade might not be aware of Lopee, but he's aware of the Almighty. So the Almighty is having Lopee go command his little errands, so that Mr. Shade isn't aware of the Almighty doing it himself. He's aware of the Almighty, but he's not aware of Lopee doing it. Lope's actually, boots on the ground in theory, in practice, doing that stuff.
No, the thing is, it depends on what type of angel it is, right? So is it a regular angel, like an arcane?
Well, the Guardian Angel seems like it's a normal angel because it's a ginormous creature.
Exactly, because the normal, basically the hierarchy of heaven, the seraphims are literally just not toe-to-toe with God, but basically, they are literally below God one step. So it's
it doesn't seem like the Guardian Angel is a seraphim.
No.
It doesn't seem like he is. He also has, the Respawn logo floating around above his head like a halo. It seems
yeah,
like
that's the thing.
what I would assume is that he's probably on the same level of the
Arcade.
Mabel. I don't remember. I don't know a lot of the like mythos about or mythos, but like you don't. I don't know about the hierarchy of heaven as much. I know the hierarchy of hell way too well because of Hell of a Boss, but I don't really know the heaven hierarchy enough because of it's not really
Okay,
appeared
so
yet.
the
in
angel.
Avatar.
Okay, so that guardian angel is basically the same level as Michael and Gabriel, per se. Since it's like they're all the way down.
Sure.
Obviously, they're angels, but
It seems like
they are messengers, right? They are.
well, the guardian angel. Let's see. Guardian angel is the angel that's captured in the second assault on the Bandlands. It's currently being used for pure blood harvesting for the foreseeable future.
Oh, so they're already.
So they're draining its blood for, I don't remember what pure blood is used for. Any resigning Urban Chain employees are to be provided a cup of pure blood to ensure that they are not sent to the Bandlands for simply carrying out orders that were not theirs to decide. We thank them for their service. As of 2012, excess pure blood is being anonymously sold to churches and other religious establishments, being branded as pure holy water. Of course, actual ingredients, acquisition of said ingredients, or the properties of liquid are not disclosed on packaging. So what it seems like, right, is obviously Urban Shade employees doing really horrendous crimes, you know, for Urban Shade, obviously, for the sake of it, because and stuff like that. So that's why they're draining the Angel's blood, is it gives them a way to get out of the Bandlands. They don't go there, and they go to wherever the hell heaven is, so they can retire for good. Well, from what it seems like, with characters like the imaginary friends calling out the Almighty directly, I mean, not by name, obviously, but like they call like Trevor and Layla specifically will talk about the Almighty. Like they have said stuff like the Almighty, or like your existence is an affront to the Almighty, or whatever. So it seems like if they know about it, considering they don't seem to be at all correlated to what's going on here with Lopee, if they know about it, Lopee has to know who the Almighty is. There's no way Lopee does not know who the Almighty is. I don't think Lopee knows that he's like. I think Lopee knows that he's a pawn for the Almighty, but I don't think Lopee knows just how much of a pawn he is to the Almighty. That's what it seems like. It doesn't seem like he's like he probably thinks that he's like half subservient or like half under the Almighty's control when he's like 100% under the Almighty's control. And as far as we know, unless like the Hamburglar is also a pawn, which I mean he obviously is, but like for other reasons. But from what it seems like Lopee is like the main pawn for the Almighty, and that what I'd guess is that the Almighty is probably angry that purely from the sake of what it seems like from reading all these files, it seems like
Urban Shade.
Urban Shade's employees. It's the same thing as SCP Foundation. It's the same thing where it's like, you know, the employees have the excuse of, I was just following orders, but that still makes you a monster because you were following them in the first place. Because Urban Shade is scummy and shady, they're using this Guardian Angel's blood so that their employees don't have to suffer for the crimes they were ordered to do. When in reality, they should have to suffer for their crimes because they did it in the first. But the point is that I think the Almighty is probably pissed at Urban Shade in particular because, one, he has to deal with all these souls that should never have been in his control because of the pure blood stuff. Two, they you know, attacked an innocent angel that was guarding his Bandlands or whatever, and they're draining it for blood, which is not really fair to him either. And Urban Shade is exploiting powers that they have really they should never be allowed to control that kind of power. And he's probably angry at them, so he's using Lopee. It seems like Lopee probably died before the pure blood stuff happened. So what it probably is that Lopee was one of the many Urban Shade employees who was probably just lurking around in the Bandlands. And then maybe the Guardian Angel pulled some strings before Urban Shade got to the Bandlands. And so he got Lopee over to being a pawn for the Almighty. And now the Almighty is using Lopee like a pawn. Maybe the Almighty has complete timeline control, and that's why Lopee has a like, and he gave Lopee a sort of like subset of power where like Lopee can kind of timeline travel, but not as much as the Almighty can, and that's why Lopee has like a doled out level of power.
Okay, let's say for example, obviously you having the power to time travel and stuff, that is overpowered.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like he gave him that power.
Just a
with the
little bit of it,
limitations
not a
like,
lot of it. Just a
yeah,
little
with the,
bit, yeah.
with the limitations that will only benefit the main goal.
Yeah, which is to destroy
It's-
Urban
it's-
Shade
it's
from the
not-
inside
it's not
out.
for-
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's not for Lopee to just mess around with all nilly-nilly. It could be just for like, okay, I'm gonna give you the power. Obviously, Lopee may or may not know about the Almighty.
I think he does. I think it's highly likely that he does. Like, the odds is probably like 90% he does, 10% he doesn't.
Yeah, but he basically gave him the limitation so that Lopee doesn't just do whatever, but rather like strategically plans on basically what to do instead of just going back and ruining things because it may not be like I said, beneficial for the future.
I think that might be another thing too. Is I think he might have done multiple things, considering what little we know and considering what seems to have already happened. I'm thinking that Lopee started to learn more as he started to do stuff. So maybe Lopee destroyed the entire universe in other timelines, but then, he reset time, so he started to figure out what was going on and how to use his powers as like a test, because he can time travel. It doesn't really matter if he blows up, if he blows up the galaxy in this timeline, it doesn't matter, because he can just timeline hop back to before he did it and do something else. And it seems like it might also be the case, I thought about this one too, there was this dimension in like the VR world or something like that called like the Voidway, which is basically a planet that had like no time. So you could just timeline hop around in that universe, or in that dimension or whatever. That might be what's going on too with like the Almighty, where like maybe heaven is technically a space that doesn't have time as like a concept. So they can just timeline hop all over the place. So he can just live in there and timeline hop all over the place. And then like Lopee is basically his outside agent. Because like Lopee is in the normal world. So Lopee is aware of exactly what year it is and stuff like that, and he can like hop around and stuff like that. But it seems like maybe the Almighty can't do that because he's like a god or whatever.
It could be like a Hospital Hotel reverse situation, right? So it's like instead of hell becoming overloaded with sinners,
it's heaven. Yeah, I just thought about that. Yeah. I don't know if that's anything to do with Urban Shade in particular, but yeah, I could see that.
No, and that's why like the reason why it's becoming so overcrowded with like having all these people, right, is because Urban Shade's fault, right?
Yeah, exactly.
With his blood and the guardian angel, and that's why God is trying to stop it. Just like how Charlie in the series is trying to stop sinners.
Well, it's the exorcism specifically, but yeah.
No, you get what I mean. Right? It's basically trying to stop the overflow of sinners, basically.
Exactly.
Like instead of extermination, instead of God let's say
the
Almighty doing extermination in heaven, he basically is trying to prevent further
heaven getting overflowed. Yeah, and I think that's as well. I think that's more to the point though, is because again, there's the revive tokens, which work on. It doesn't seem like it works for the Badlands, but it seems like it works for like. Because what it says is it seems like Urban Shade employees who retire have to use the pure blood to like, not go to the Badlands, and what Badlands seems to be hell. So maybe in theory, instead of that, what it is it's like they just use revive tokens for people who die early. Maybe, from what it seems like, it doesn't seem like Mr. Shade can retire, so maybe he's, like, stuck with the revive tokens? I don't know. You'd think, though, that the revive tokens would... I don't know. Because it seems like, for us, the player, the revive token just sets us back to wherever we were, and we're at, like, full autonomy. But maybe the revive token only works on your like time state. So maybe Mr. Shade looks all dead and decrepit over there because if someone killed him and he used the revive token, he just looked dead and decrepit again. He wouldn't revive back to when he was like 20. Maybe that's why. I'm gonna assume that that's the reason, because otherwise I feel like he'd probably have fixed that himself. I'm sure he does, because we the player can purchase revive tokens from the shop, from Sebastian.
Yeah, but that's the
So it
thing,
seems
right?
like I think Mr. Shade would know about that stuff and he would have that. I mean, obviously he does. He'd have to. But I don't think. I think that's what it is. I don't think that the revive token will work for him because I think it works on your on like what age you're at. So for us, it works fine because we're like, I don't know, 20 or 30, say. But for Mr. Shade, he's probably like 170. So like if someone killed him and then he used the revive token, he'd probably just look like he was 170 again.
No, but things like it could be just this way, right? Like, we die. Obviously, let's say we are young people, right?
Yeah.
We die, and we die a couple seconds ago, right? We revive again. That's kind of the whole point. It's not to keep you being an immortal. It's basically just a way to like come back again and do it. For Mr. Shade, it's not gonna get him younger. Obviously,
That's
because
what
he's
I'm
just gonna
saying.
be
That's what I think is going on with the
so
revive tokens.
that's
That's what I think it
that's what I say.
is.
Like he could not be using it to like get younger. He could only be using it to like keep going longer. To see his
Yeah.
company be like, just for him to be there.
And that's the
Because every
thing
time-
too, is now that I think about it, especially for him, maybe that's the point with Lopee and with the Almighty. Maybe that's the point. Maybe that's how we kill Urban Shade. That's how we kill Urban Shade. We get the Guardian Angel. We free the Guardian Angel or whatever. That's how we win. We free the Guardian Angel that cuts off their pure blood supply and it escapes and whatever. And then because it's gone, we maybe we release all the creatures again. We release every single like Z entity that exists because there's a lot of them we don't know about. Like put it this way, Sebastian is Z13 and then the Divine creatures are Z17. We're missing 14, 15, 16. And then, etc., all the way through all the other creatures. Maybe once we unlock every single file or we find out every single one of them, which I don't know if we're ever going to get there because some of these are really fucking high numbers. Like, there's a pretty big gap between 317 and 367. Like, that's a gap of 50 characters or so that we don't know anything about. But my point is that I think if there's an ending in sight that's like a more preferred ending that Lopee would probably be wanting us to get to with the Almighty, it'd be letting the helping the Guardian Angel escape, which I don't know if we can even do that, but just for the sake of it, let the Guardian Angel escape, help Sebastian and release all the creatures again, or just release the Guardian Angel and then whatever, and then through that we cut off the pure blood supply. And then, the monsters go ham. Maybe we die in the process, because I could totally see, like, Angler or Panda Man not really caring that, we set them free, or whatever. And they just kill us. And we also die and go to the Badlands, because we don't have any revive tokens left, and we don't have any pure blood, so we don't really, like, deserve what we do. But we don't really, like, deserve freedom for that. But, because there's no pure blood left, all the people, especially Mr. Shade, get killed, perma-die, and they get sent to, the Badlands or Hell or whatever, to suffer for their crimes.
I do have a couple things, right, to say. So,
Yeah.
It could be, so that number one, right? Mr. Shade could just be trying to get something of, like, immortality. Per se.
Could
like,
be.
Maybe, like, obviously, it could not be, maybe not just the tokens, the death tokens. It could be with the heart. Like, it could be, like, with the crystal. Like, he's trying to get, like, a sort of, like, immortality that is more permanent. That isn't just the death that can bring you back to life. Now,
I don't think that would work on him, though, because it seems like it's an energy crystal, not a, like, life crystal. Because it's powering the whole black site the whole time. But anyway, continue.
If he can power the black site completely, what to say that he cannot build, like, a sort of like machinery that can like rebirth cells to become younger again, and that's gotta be like his way to.
I guess, but I don't know if I see that path as like the likeliest option for him to go down yet.
Yeah, but I do want to know: is the crystal like infinite power? So it's like an infinite power supply.
Maybe. Where was the file on the crystal? I don't remember. I think it said something like that. Let me see.
Yeah.
Ridge, due to the first period. In 1967, after the discovery of Thor's corpse and subsequently Z2, the ridge was chosen as new home. A big reactor shaft was built on the edge of the ridge site to house it, powering all the black site, with excess energy being produced and being sold to Europe. Although talks of modernizing the ridge have been... That doesn't relevant. Thor's corpse was where the heart, obviously Thor's heart, the crystal, was found. Big reactor shaft was built into... It's possible. I don't know if I see that yet, given the general lack of evidence we have towards what's going on with the crystal.
No.
And we don't really know, because we're an EXRP person, we're not allowed to know that kind of information. It's like, oh, Urban Shade thanks you for your service, now fuck off at the airport, and, you know, whatever,
here's
you're...
the second,
Yeah.
Here's the second thing that I have. If we... Okay, so the endings that we got in this game, right, so far.
Yeah, currently.
Let's say they are all just the timelines that Lopee has attempted, right? So the good ending and the bad ending for now. These are the only like two. Now think of it like in Lope's perspective, right? Like this is for example, these two endings are two options that you can take.
Yeah.
To like, basically. But let's say in the future when they update this game to like create like a more suitable ending where we bring down.
Worth the Wait Part 2 is what it seems like. I think that's gonna be.
Maybe that's where Lopee, after trying so hard, you know, timeline after timeline with these two paths, which is basically his two ideas of a plan, right? Maybe he tries something different. And maybe that difference is gonna become the new ending, which is gonna basically lead us to destroying Urban Shade.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
it could end up with us dying in the end.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that's gonna be the case. But I think, I think that's probably gonna be in the case like a few years from now in the game.
Yeah.
Because I don't see them adding that like this early. Because this game, I mean, even if they did add it, I'd still keep playing the game. Like, let's be real. But
I mean, I gotta be honest. I don't think we gotta survive. I don't like.
Yeah, I don't. I would love an ending where we as a player die with everyone else and everyone at Urban Shade, and we get to suffer with them for our crimes that got us on death row or whatever. However, the more like logical side of my brain would think that, oh yeah, Almighty, sure, I deserve to suffer for my crimes, but at the same time, I was willing to do your dirty work and help you out and save you, so surely I deserve some level of compensation and be like, okay, you helped us with our stuff, so we'll either grant you amnesty for your past sins because you made sure you did whatever you could and you died in the process to like save us or whatever, or option B, we'll nullify your punishment. You'll still get punished for your sins before you got contracted by Urban Shade, but we'll nullify them enough to the point where it's like you're still getting punished for what you've done, but hey, you did what you needed. You did what we wanted you to do. Here you go.
Yeah, exactly. No, it could be like this, right? Maybe it could be something like, I don't know how Revelations in Black Ops 3 Zombies was, right? Like, let's say for example the characters they were in the ending, they got the blood vials from a dimension that was closed, and they drank it because they were from people from a dimension. Now listen. I'm not saying that our character's gonna go to another dimension, get some blood vials, and then he's gonna come back and drink it and be.
No, I think the only way he'd survive, our player would survive with the pure blood.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably gonna be an ending where the player you probably gotta do like a side quest while you're doing the ending, but you gotta like divert a little bit, get the blood vials from what's remaining
the
of
angel.
The blood from the guardian angel.
Yep.
Get some blood vials, come back and do the ending, but the ending will be different depending on if you have the blood vials or not. If you have the blood vials, the character will go to heaven. If you don't, then obviously it could be.
You get the ending that would probably be deserved for your player. Yeah.
Exactly. So it could be like that sort of like ending. Like you can be the last person on Earth to drink that blood and be granted heaven. Now, granted, it could bring a secret to it that you can get to talk to the Almighty personally, like face to face. And of course, the other ending, like if you get sent to the Badlands, maybe the Almighty will like talk to you, but it will not be there personally, but rather like.
Maybe it'd be Lopee there talking to you, be like, I thank you for your service. We'll nullify your punishment just a little bit. Here you go.
Yeah, maybe Lopee will be the one talking to you instead of the Almighty.
This is not a character that is relevant to Lopee or anything at all. This is the Mindscape man. I just want you to give us a name for him because I asked Bendy the other day and she couldn't come up with anything. I don't have a name for him. He's not really relevant. It's just he's J-123 or whatever. But like I just want a name for the character because he's just got nothing and I can't think of anything. Mando.
Yeah.
That's a Star Wars character, man. I can't.
It could be a name for him too.
No, it's fine. What was his number again? It's J-1234. That's his number. Or 123-4.
Yeah.
Very original with our names, huh? 1, 2, 3. 4.
Maybe have some like low significance, like your password can be 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem like... It seems like the Mindscape is something they haven't dabbled with. Because in the game, Mindscape does not seem relevant to anything else. It might be more relevant in the future. Because what it seems like is it's an astral plane beyond our border world. It's a random room type you can get in this game. But you can't, like, die to it or whatever.
Yeah.
And basically there's J-123-1, which is a white floating orb. -2, which is a bunch of glowing gears. I don't know what -3 is, but whatever. And then -4, which is the Mindscape man, Mando, I guess, right there. Who will randomly grab you and take you to the Mindscape dimension, but you can't count. There's no way to get out. There's no known way. And all it says here is, can you hear them? Can you see them? Something is watching you. That's it.
Oh, that's a death screen.
Well, no, it's not a death screen. That's just what it says at the bottom of this file. I don't think you can die to the Mindscape. Maybe you can. I'm sure there's a way you could fall off and die. But I haven't done that myself, you know? Because, like,
Let's be honest.
usually when that thing spawns, I'm either trying to do something else, or I'm not really thinking about it. I'm like, oh, cool, it's a Mindscape room, and then I keep moving. Because I think you can fall off in a Mindscape room, but I've never really tried.
No, but the thing is, like, if you get dragged to the Mindscape, at that point, it's like, if there's no escape, then technically you're just dead at that point.
Well, it's just that there's no known way out. It's possible someone can escape, we just don't know that. We know so little about it.
I mean, yeah. At that point, they might as well just put you as dead, because you're just gonna be missing forever.